Hello there, it's me, Jim, and I've finished another book. So today it's this one, Desperation, another Stephen King book, the third in a row that I've read from him. I'm getting a little bit of Stephen King fatigue at the moment, so this will be the last one I read for a little while. I'm going to have a bit of a break. But in any case, here comes my attempt at a review. So in 1996, this was published alongside another book called The Regulators under his pseudonym, Richard Bachman. So as far as I understand, these are kind of mirror novels, so they mirror each other in a certain way, although I'm not entirely sure why or how. But I will read Regulators at some point in the future and see what's going on there. As far as I understand, there's some crossover characters. It's as though these two stories are happening in two parallel universes. So that'll be interesting to see how they compare or contrast. But anyway, this is a weighty book indeed. I read it on my Kindle, so I didn't know how big it was at the time. But I was clicking through the pages and the percentage was very, very slowly ratcheting up. I then earlier today, found out that it's almost 200,000 words. So this is like two novels, at least two novels wide, if you will. So in a way, this is in the same vein as something like The Stand, I suppose, or Under the Dome, something like that. In many ways, they are similar in that it involves a core cast of characters that are working together to sort out a problem, some great evil. And there's a bit of, in this one, there's a bit of, well, not just a bit, quite a bit of significance placed on religion, that being the Christian religion, and the power of this, of that God trying to thwart this other entity. But I'll get to in a minute. So anyway, right, Desperation. Desperation by name, desperation by nature. This is quite a unpleasant book in many places. And yes, the name is given to the town. It's a very small town, I believe somewhere in Nevada. So kind of desert surroundings. And the whole thing takes place there. But these various people that eventually come together are all arrested by an evil policeman, shall we say. He's called Collie Intragian. Quite a strange name. I'm not sure if that's a popular name in America or not. I've never come across either of those names. Collie? No. Intragian? Certainly not. But this policeman is a handful. And for me, it's the best character in the whole book. But anyway, so we begin with a couple that are taking a drive across Nevada. They're returning a car to... so it's Peter and I think Anne. But I may have already forgotten the name. I only finished reading it this morning. So returning the sisters or the sister-in-law of one of them's car. Okay. And this sister is a bit of a pothead. So unfortunately, she has a great big bag of marijuana, the old Mary Jane, stashed in the back of the boot. The policeman pulls them over initially because they don't have their license, their number plates. License plates on the car have been removed by some scallywags in another town. And also, I think they've got a broken tail light or something like that. So he's got an excuse to stop them. But the way he stops them is quite sinister. He's following behind them and then overtaking them. And it's very odd, very sinister, right from the offing. The husband and wife are already on their guard. Anyway, when said policeman finds this great big baggie, he promptly arrests them. Now, they can already tell that something's not quite right with this chap. He's a bloody great bloke. I mean, he must be, I think, describe him, he's like 6'4", 6'5", something like that. A great big hulking brute of a policeman, positively bulging all over out of his uniform. But there's something about his manner. He's not quite, he's slightly unhinged, perhaps. Anyway, this comes to a head when he's taking them back to town to formally arrest them, I suppose. And he's reading them their rights in the car. They're in the back of the car. No way of getting out. There's no way to open the windows or unlock the doors. He starts reading the rights. You have the right to remain silent and all of that. And in the middle of that, he says, I'm going to kill you. But he says it in such a way. And the passage, you read the passage, and even I thought, crikey, did he really say that? And that was such a brilliant scene. And it summed up the whole surreal quality of their arrest and his slightly off manner. We later find out that he is completely bonkers. And he, over the course of that day, I believe, he arrests a number of other people. There's a writer, a National Book Award winning writer. He's called Johnny. There's a family that are arrested. He punctures all their tyres. There will be numerous spoilers here, but I'm not going to give away the ending, just in case you do want to read it. He pops all their tyres and pretends that there's a mad gunman on the loose. So he ferrets all the family into the cop car and then takes them back to the clink. Bloody horrible things happen. Who else? There's another local resident who's banged up as well. Yes, I believe that's all. But of the family, one notable character is a little boy called David. David has found God in a big way. So David, I think he's only, I don't know, he's about 10 years old, something like that. But he has something of a presence about him, perhaps not dissimilar to maybe Jesus. And he, over the course of the book, performs various minor miracles. In the past, we also discovered that he believes he's responsible for saving the life of his best friend, who gets into a car accident that should have just outright killed him. So there's lots of things going on. So God is with this boy and is pitting him against this force. So the rest of the book is about them trying to escape this mental, psychotic policeman, and then thereafter trying to stop what's going on. So the policeman has been possessed, if you will, by an evil god or a demon or something. So Desperation, the town Desperation, is a mining town. So at some point in the past, the mine recently has unearthed something, and that thing has run amok and has possessed this policeman, amongst other people. The policeman thereafter has killed everyone in the town, and is keeping all of these people around to potentially possess them as well. Because once he's called Tak, this god. Once he's in a body, he kind of wears the body out because it's so powerful. That's why it makes them bigger, so to speak, and stronger. But eventually they start degrading and more or less explode. They don't really explode. So he's keeping these people around as kind of surrogates or people he will go into to possess later. So that's the kind of nutshell job on this book. So what I'm going to do is say what I liked about it, and then what I didn't like about it. I'm going to keep it relatively short and sweet today, even though I'm on already 9 minutes. Anyway, what I liked the setting. I liked the isolated desert town. Now, this is something you've probably come across yourself in various forms. The first thing I thought of, and related to the way the policeman was arresting these people off the highway, was the film Breakdown. I think it might have been Kurt Russell. He's driving across a similar environment, and his car breaks down. A trucker pulls up and says he'll take the wife onto the next town to call for someone to help with the car. The wife never comes back, and that was a very good film, actually. So yeah, it had that about it. This feeling of being a complete outsider. You know, these small isolated towns, not operating on the same pace or any kind of comparable way to the outside world, and so you automatically, all of these people, especially the couple at the beginning, they're already a bit twitchy because of this scenario, this environment, I suppose. Like animals nailed against bloody signposts and bullet holes and things. Quite scary. I would avoid that personally. Right, what else? What else did I like? Yes, so I've already talked about the policeman, Entragian. An absolutely brilliant character. So this is a picture here. I think this was a print done for like a collector's edition of the book. And this is Entragian there, as I more or less imagined. He's just completely berserk and a formidable chap as well. So that was the best part of it. He was the best incarnation of this evil god. The mixture of what remained of his mind mixed in with a bit of madness. That was really, really unsettling. So that was, for me, the highlight of the book. Unfortunately, he doesn't last too long, maybe a quarter of the way through, maybe a third, something like that, before he needs to change up his body, which is a shame, but I'll come to that later when I say about what I didn't like. And another thing that was also good a bit about the beginning was it was quite shocking. So, for example, this is a spoiler here, but it's related to the very beginning. This young family that Entragian runs off the road, pops the tyres. One of the first things he does once he gets to the police station is herald the little girl. So it's a boy, David's sister, little girl, I don't know, 6 years old, just hurls her down some stairs and kills her, breaks her neck. And when I got to that, I just thought, bloody hell, this is going to be dark, really dark. But that was it. It kind of peaked at that point. I mean, there's lots of unpleasant things that happen later on, but nothing anywhere near that. I mean, that was really a powerful moment. I really worried about where this book was going to be going. But really sinister stuff. Okay, what I didn't like was the pace. I mean, this story, I think, would have worked as a short story even. It did not need 200,000 words. No way. So we've got the waffle coming in. We've got a bit of that. We've got a bit of the Stephen King waffle. It's very well written waffle, but it's waffle all the same. It's when he starts going on about backstories and when a character starts reflecting about something that's happened in their past, I begin losing the will to live. A lot of it's necessary, I suppose, to inform the character. That's fine. But, to a certain degree, a certain amount of detail that he goes into, I start getting bored, really. And so this story that could have been far more pared down, it just became very bloated. And, by the time you've read the whole book, everything that happens over the course of an evening and a night. And this bloody thing is so long. I mean, you would have thought it would have been something that took maybe a week at least, but no, lots happens, but very slowly. Yes, and again, going back to Entragian, as soon as he's out of the picture, I started losing not so much interest, but a lot of the tension had gone for me. As soon as he inhabited the next person, I was like, bloody hell, I liked Entragian. He was an utter bastard, but he was a scary bastard. And he was a formidable foe for these people that are trying to escape him. The beginning was brilliant, I thought. So the first, perhaps quarter, was great. But as soon as these people found a way of escaping the cell that he's put them in, it lost something for me. I mean, there's no end of unpleasantness throughout the book. Mostly centered on what's befallen lots of the other inhabitants of the town, but it never really lives up to that initial shock of the daughter being just dashed down the stairs, and the way Entragian interacts with each of his captors. That's never really, it peaks there, and forever after it's going downhill. But But there's interest there. There's lots of things interesting about the history of the mining situation, the things that were found in the past, and the way TAC tries to infiltrate people. These little trinkets that he uses to take over their minds. And some very interesting things. The ending is pretty much, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you can see the damn thing coming. There is a good ending, but there's some salt rubbed into the wound. That's the only kind of twist, but it was, I don't know. Out of 5, I would give it 2. I mean, it sounds harsh. It's verging on 3 because I enjoyed reading it, and I read through it pretty quickly for me, considering the size of the book. And I always enjoyed returning to it to find out what was going on. But yeah, this book peaked and then very, very gradually went down in my estimation. So as I've said, I've got a bit of fatigue at the moment from the old Stephen King, but that's not a bad thing. I mean, he's very good, and there's lots of his books that I absolutely adore. But for now, I'm going to take a break. But when I do have a dalliance with a few other books, I'm going to be reading the Dark Tower series. I've only ever read the first 2. But upon my cousin Karen's recommendation, I'm going to tackle it because it's one of her favourite series of books. And I remember from the first one particularly being brilliant, and it really, right off the bat, I read the second one. And I didn't read the third one because I don't know. I don't know what happened. Something else came along. And that was years ago. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to be reading. Next time will be a different book. I'm not sure what yet. It might be Kazuo Ishiguro's new one about AI. Don't get me started on AI. I'm really pissed off at the moment. I might do a video about it. It's about AI getting into the art game. But anyway, right, let's leave it there. Yeah, I've waffled just like Stephen King. So, thanks for watching if you have. Hopefully I've turned on the fucking microphone this time, and we will be back next time. I'm having to overdub this because my fucking microphone cut out at the end. Cheerio.